In the quiet solitude of his tiny studio, under the dim glow of a single lamp, he searched for inspiration. A struggling artist, lost in the shadows of his own unfulfilled dreams. Until one night, she appeared, a mysterious woman who would change everything. Daniel Thompson stared blankly at the canvas before him, the stark white surface mocking his creative emptiness. Bills piled up on his cluttered desk, a constant reminder of his failing career. The city outside buzzed with life, but inside his cramped studio apartment, there was only silence and the faint smell of turpentine. He sighed, running a paint-stained hand through his disheveled hair. Days had turned into weeks, and weeks into months, without a single stroke of inspiration. The art world had moved on, leaving him behind in obscurity. Just as he was about to call it a night, a soft knock echoed through the room. He turned, surprised. It was nearly midnight. Who could be visiting at this hour? Hesitantly, he approached the door and opened it to find a woman standing there. She was ethereal, with eyes that held galaxies, and an aura of quiet mystery. She didn't say a word, but there was something about her that drew him in. "Can I help you?" he asked softly. She offered a faint smile and stepped inside, moving gracefully to the center of the room. Without a word, she positioned herself near the easel, her posture poised and elegant. Daniel watched, perplexed yet intrigued. "Do you want me to paint you?" She nodded slowly, her eyes never leaving his. There was an intensity in her gaze that both unsettled and inspired him. Without further question, he picked up his brush, and for the first time in months, he felt the spark of creativity ignite within him. As the hours passed, he painted with a fervor he hadn't felt in years. Her form took shape on the canvas, delicate, haunting, mesmerizing. When he finally looked up, the first light of dawn was creeping through the window, and she was gone. He blinked, wondering if he had imagined the entire encounter. But the painting remained, a testament to her presence. The next day, Daniel took the painting to a local gallery on a whim. The curator, a stern man known for his critical eye, stared at the canvas for a long time before turning to Daniel with a rare smile. "This is exceptional," he said. "We must display this." Daniel's heart soared. For the first time, his work would be showcased. The painting was hung in a prominent spot, and within hours, it became the talk of the art community. Critics praised the emotion captured within the strokes, the enigmatic beauty of the subject. That night, Daniel returned to his studio, his mind buzzing with excitement. As he prepared to celebrate with a modest glass of wine, the soft knock echoed once more. His pulse quickened as he opened the door to find her standing there again. "You came back," he whispered. She entered silently, taking her place by the easel. Without question, he began to paint her once more. This became their unspoken ritual. Each night, she would appear, and he would capture her essence on canvas. And with each new painting, his fame grew. Galleries clamored for his work. Patrons lined up to purchase his pieces, and interviews filled his days. Yet, amidst the growing acclaim, one question began to consume him. Who was she? Daniel tried to engage her, to learn anything about her, but she remained silent. She would only smile softly, her eyes reflecting secrets she wouldn't share. Frustration mingled with fascination. He began to notice little details. A locket she always wore, a small tattoo on her wrist, the way she seemed to fade into the shadows when morning approached. One night, determined to find answers, he decided to follow her after their session. As the first hints of dawn appeared, she slipped out of the studio, and he trailed her at a distance. She moved effortlessly through the quiet streets, turning corners that led deeper into parts of the city he didn't recognize. Suddenly, she vanished around a bend. When he reached the spot, he found himself in an empty alleyway. Confused, he searched for any sign of her, but found none. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. Perplexed, he returned home, questions multiplying in his mind. Who was this woman who had become both his muse and his obsession? Determined to uncover the truth, Daniel began to investigate. He sketched the locket from memory, taking the drawing to antique shops and jewelers, hoping someone might recognize the design. Most shook their heads, but one elderly jeweler paused. "This is an old piece," the man said thoughtfully. "Early 1900s, I'd say. Very rare." Daniel frowned. That couldn't be possible. The woman couldn't have something that old, could she? He delved deeper, spending hours at the library, researching historical records, old newspapers, any clue that could lead him to her identity. As he dug through the archives, a photograph caught his eye. It was dated 1910, a group of women standing in front of a building that looked eerily similar to his studio. His breath caught as he recognized a familiar face among them. It was her, the same woman who visited him every night, unchanged by time. Questions swirled in his mind. How could this be? Was she a ghost? A figment of his imagination? He recalled the way she never spoke, how she vanished before dawn, the cold touch of her skin when their hands brushed. That night, when she appeared, he confronted her gently. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I need to know." She looked at him with sad eyes, and for the first time, she spoke. "I'm someone who was lost," she said softly. "And through you, I've found a way to be remembered." He stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. "I don't understand." She stepped closer, placing a cool hand on his cheek. "You give me life through your art. Each painting keeps a part of me alive." Tears welled in his eyes. "But why me?" "Because you needed inspiration, and I needed to be seen." He realized then that their destinies were intertwined. She was more than a muse. She was a bridge between the past and the present, between forgotten memories and new beginnings. As his career soared, Daniel's art began to change. He started incorporating themes of time, memory, and existence. Critics noted the depth and introspection in his work, praising his evolution as an artist. But with success came a growing emptiness. He knew that his connection with the mysterious woman was finite. Each painting seemed to draw her further away, her presence becoming more ephemeral. One night, as they stood together, he asked, "What happens when I finish painting you? Will you disappear?" She smiled sadly. "Nothing lasts forever, Daniel, but you've given me a gift, a chance to be remembered, and in return, you've found your purpose." He wanted to hold on to her, to keep her with him, but he knew he couldn't. Their paths had crossed for a reason, and now he had to let her go. The final painting was his masterpiece, a portrayal of her that captured not just her likeness, but her essence. When he finished, she gazed at the canvas, a single tear tracing down her cheek. "Thank you," she whispered. As dawn approached, she began to fade, her form becoming translucent. Daniel reached out, but his hand passed through empty air. "Wait," he cried. "Will I ever see you again?" Her voice echoed softly. "I'm always with you, in every stroke of your brush, in every beat of your heart. Remember me." And then she was gone. Daniel stood alone in his studio, the first rays of sunlight filtering through the window. The silence was heavy, but he felt a sense of peace. She had given him more than inspiration. She had given him a part of himself he didn't know was missing. He looked at the final painting, knowing it was his greatest work. It was not just a tribute to her, but a reflection of his own journey, of discovery, loss, and the enduring power of art. In the end, it wasn't just about finding her true identity, but about finding himself. The mysterious woman had been both muse and mirror, revealing truths hidden within. And though she was gone, her impact lingered in every masterpiece he created thereafter. The art world continued to celebrate Daniel Thompson, but few knew the true story behind his remarkable transformation. To them, he was a genius who had finally found his voice. To him, he was simply a man, forever changed by a silent muse, who appeared one night and taught him the most profound lessons of all. This script begins with an interesting hook, provides context to the story, and keeps the viewer engaged till the end, without revealing the final climax. It's written in a style suitable for a faceless story channel, with a narrator guiding the audience through the tale.